Yo, aprons are fucking slimming, though. Look at that shit. You look so slim with an apron on. I realize that. Hey guys, doing another cooking episode here on the Daily Banana. Um, Basically, sometimes I get food, ingredients for food, and then whether the food like has an expiration date itself or I forget to freeze something, like I did with this beef here, and then it starts to lose its integrity, its value, its expiration. And sometimes I'm able to catch it on time, and then I realize, all right, I got to do something here. I got to fucking figure something out to do to make with this. And I have a problem where I don't always want to do whatever cooking project it is that I want to do because there's not a lot of people I can feed things to when I cook things in a whole. I don't like to cook for myself. I think a lot of cooks I know that are like that. It's like you do it all the time, and I think the biggest pleasure of cooking is cooking for somebody else or for a group of people. Even though it adds more pressure, because now you're worried. You're like, well, shit. I hope it's good for everybody, and you have to remember that when you're cooking it. Cheers. But that being said, I think I'm trying to have some friends over tonight. I know we're in the middle of COVID, but we're being safe. Don't worry. It's only going to be like 4 or 5 of us. We'll stay 6 feet apart. Don't worry. It's all going to be okay. That being said, it may or may not work out. We'll see. I think I should hang out with some friends anyway. Probably try and hang out tomorrow too. We got fights going on tomorrow. I'm excited about that. Dan Hooker versus I honestly forgot who he's fighting. I think he's fighting Michael Johnson, but I think that's wrong as well. I just read the card and I already forgot. So I'm gonna make stuffed meatballs in a they're gonna okay. So let's say this correctly. We're making stuffed meatballs. We're gonna cook the stuffed meatballs in a marinade, and then we're going to fry them, get them a little crisper, if you will, or sear them would be a better word, to get a color. But we're gonna sear them in a bacon marinara pasta. I'm sure there's already some kind of bacon marinara pre-done pasta or whatever. I'm sure that's not incredible. Basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take not the whole pound of bacon. I really don't think we need all that, but at least half of the pound of bacon. We'll chop it up and we'll cook it onto a skillet, and then once it's all done cooked, just keep it in there. And that's why you don't need a lot of so the point of cooking it in the marinade and then doing the marinara sauce, the marinade itself is going to be what the meatballs will be juicy for. That's going to be the main flavor plus what's stuffed in there. The marinara, okay, it's one, a little bit bougie. That's something that I want to try and do, and B, since it's a bacon marinara, it's like you're not relying on one or the other to be a pungent flavor. Both are gonna mix in with your marinade. Really, it's all savory flavor, so they're all gonna mix anyway. Sometimes you do things when you cook that's sensory overload, and I know chefs hate that. I try to be conscious of it while I'm cooking. But I just, especially when I'm drinking a little bit, I'm cooking and, you open that fridge and you go, ooh, I bet that would be good. And as you're doing it, you start to realize after a while that you are just mashing flavors into a food bowl, and it's still going to taste good most of the time, especially if you're cooking for yourself because you know what you like. Sometimes it doesn't because it's all experimental, but my advice still, just try to keep it to a minimal, and honestly, you will have more fun that way. When you keep it to a minimum of ingredients and stuff, it seems like it's not as fun because you're not throwing as much shit in and doing as much stuff, but it's a lot more fun when you have a sound recipe of just a few ingredients that you can kind of rely on to taste instead of trying to taste 7 at a time in each bite. So it's a little intricate what we're doing, only because we're gonna make stuffed meatballs with queso fresco and pepper jack cheese. Well, actually, just pepper jack cheese. Some of them are going to have pepper jack cheese, and then that's going to be the main stuff. And we might have to go queso fresco in case we run out of the pepper jack. We are working with a limited supply because your boy eats the cheese. But with the stuffness, we're looking like at least like maybe 6 done there. We could probably get 6 or 7 done meatballs with that. And if we have to, we'll rely on the queso fresco. But what are we going to do with the other ones? You see, we have a pound of chuck, and is this a pound? a pound of Italian ground pork. So we're gonna stuff them with cream cheese, the other ones, and I don't just like using just cream cheese. So we're gonna put some peppers and 1 onion. So we'll cook up the onions and peppers. We'll throw that into a cream. Oh, we need a second mixing bowl. We'll throw that into the pot, a mixing bowl with the cream cheese, and we'll mix that up, and that'll be our stuffing mixture for the other one. Pretty simple stuff. No seasoning needs to go in it. No nothing. Just straight onions and peppers cooking, and then just mixing it with cream cheese. And so that's the point. Like, when you look at what the meatball's going to have as a flavor altogether, it'll be the meatball itself for that one. Then you would be tasting the meatball that has the marinade on it, and then you're getting a hint of the marinara bacon sauce, which again, it's all one flavor at that point. You know, you made your marinara sauce like a bacon flavored sauce, so you're just getting a bacon flavor on top of it, and then when you bite in, you'll get cream cheese with onions and peppers. And everybody knows onion, like, tasting the onion is very rare, but it just mixes in. So you have a lot of blending flavors and a lot of good flavors that are sticking out as well. So we have our mixing bowl for the cream cheese. We'll just start with the onions and peppers. And I got everything out. I got everything ready, and I didn't get a pan. So get a pan. That's not really a pan, dog. Does anybody else have this problem with their oh my god, with their ovens? I bet the new future modern ovens don't have this shit, but the like every other oven that has like the drawer in the bottom, and you always take it out, and it's always fucking weeble wobbling to the left and right side, and you gotta readjust it a bunch. You ever do it in front of people who are new to your house, and they're like, "Oh wow, is this supposed to be like that?" I'm like, I guess not. That's been like that my whole life. Everywhere I've gone, the underneath oven drawer. So now we'll actually get our pan. Our pan's under here with our cooking. What, Ahsoka? Hi, Ahsoka. So we'll get a cutting board too out. Cutting board. Pan. Okay. Oh, Bert Kreischer touched my nose. So we also have a pan set out that's lightly butter sprayed. I know, right? Fucking. I wonder what a YouTube chef or a chef in general would say if he saw that and be like, "What the hell is this?" Every chef who's mad is Gordon Ramsay to me. So I guess it wouldn't matter that much. So, put our pan on your favorite burner and let it fucking sit there. I'm gonna slow cook them. I just saw today actually, somebody fucking cook their meatballs in the oven, which I guess is obvious, you know? Some lady on a cooking show said to keep this, and like, you cut towards it and then you chop it off at the end and it's all diced. I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna skip that fucking process. Like, yeah, I get it, that's faster or whatever, it's fancy, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do what I always normally do, which is roughly cut the other end off, and work from there. Make sure that your trash is empty so that you're not fucking, every time you throw something away like I'm doing right now, you're balancing act with like invisible air because you don't want to, you know, touch the goddamn trash can and wash your hands again. So my next recommendation here is, like, if you were to be, I don't know, streaming this or making a video about this, don't do this part on stream. You know, get it pre-done so that way you can just show a fucking onion and then start cutting it. But instead, everybody gets to watch me just peel this onion back slow as fuck, like, because I'm not an expert. So yeah, this would be way better if I was just like, alright, now here's an onion, here we fucking go. But instead, I'm like, hold on, don't you worry, we're gonna get going here any second now. Same thing with the peppers. I should have already pre-done the peppers, but I did not. I could have been watching videos and fucking chilling, prepping the food. But here we are. And that's part of cooking, you know? Alright. So we have our shavings extremely sloppily placed. I'm sure everybody has a way to dice up an onion and shit like that. I just don't, I just do what I do, like what I've always done. I have them up, and then I just start going in. I've never understood how people are able to get the onion to stay in place, though. Every time I raise my knife, the onions always fall to the sides. So I'm never able to get that. But it's fine. Again, we're not perfect here, and I've never shot for perfection. Cooking a lot like how I was talking about with when I was painting the other day, or yesterday actually, when it becomes too serious for me, it becomes not as fun anymore. You know, I understand there's techniques there's to go. I understand there's these, but as long as you know how to do something, you know, and you can actually get it done, your way is your way. This is the way, and that's all that really matters. Like I said, if you're cooking and you do it at home for fun, if you want to get better and do stuff, that's totally fine. You should do that. Learn techniques, faster ways to do stuff, DIY, you know, all that stuff. But otherwise, you know, if you know how to chop up an onion, you know how to do all that stuff already. Just may not be the fanciest or the fastest or the slickest. Just do it. Fucking do it. Just know that when you go somewhere and somebody asks you to chop up an onion or something like that, they're gonna be like, "The fuck are you doing?" You're gonna be like, "What?" See, I see people do this a lot, and this does make sense. You just kind of use the tip. Oh, look, that's a bad thing to be doing. You just use the tip, and you go in to like almost to the very so you just cut like almost to here. Oh, well, I gotta start finding my angles here. And then after that, you can just fucking, because then when you chop down, they're already diced. And so I like using that technique sometimes. Alright, go over it a little bit more in case you have a dull old knife like me. I'm aware I could have sharpened it. Forgot to do that as well. That's just what this whole every time I cook is. I forgot to do that. Could have done that. Okay, so chopped up our onion. We'll just shove it all up there so you can just stare at that cocaine mountain of onions. Comically. Alright, I'm going to throw some motherfucking peppers. Get a lot of these guys in here. I like the orange ones a lot, and the red ones. So we'll do a fair. We'll probably do one more. We'll get an equal mix of everybody. Again, I apologize for the camera focusing and unfocusing and focusing all the time. It's funny because it doesn't need to focus on anything else, but I get it. Quick tip: if your eyes are watering and you're a little bitch from the onions, you can just shove your head in your freezer, and that usually fixes it all. Alright, so chopping a pepper, I mean, you can't necessarily see, oh, aha, and now you can. Fucking angles. So, Jesus. I just cut off all the tops of them to start. Throw them off to the side here. I just keep all my trash in a fucking pile, and then I scoop it into my hand when I'm done. So, I personally don't mind if there's seeds. You know, I like the kick that it gives. But we don't have to do that, so I'll go ahead and cut up and get that knife off there. Sometimes what I'll do here is I try to I don't want to have to do more work for the peppers, and when you have mini peppers, there's a lot of work you have to do to get those out. Peppers in general, like cutting them, has just always been a task for me. Not the big ones, just mini ones. So I'll just have them. Have all these guys. Hey, good shot right there. Alright. So, got all our peppers halved, and again, so we have our trash pile like off to the side here. I'll just scoop all those peppers out into the trash pile. The peppers, the seeds of the peppers, what makes them hot. Even though these are mini sweet peppers, but the seeds will still make them spicy. So, gotta get those out of there. Having a little seeds is fine. If you're somebody who's okay with heat and you wonder if you have to get the seeds out of your peppers, kind of. But if it's just for you, or if you're cooking for a bunch of people who don't mind heat at all, then yeah, fucking just leave them in there. I've cooked for people before that can't stand heat at all, and some of the seeds are left over, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's so hot," and I'm like, "Why? There's nothing hot in it," but the peppers still have some of the seeds, and it just makes it hot. So, just a heads up. if you're trying to make a general group of people happy that you're cooking for, or yourself if you're not very good with heat. So since they're mini, I just stack them. Once I have them, I stack them on top of each other like this. And oh, there goes my towel. Give that a good flick and throw it back over. And normally you want to give yourself more room on the cutting board for everything that we're doing right now. But it's fine. We're almost done here. You can just start grouping the I just, fucking just start pushing the peppers that I cut onto the onions that are already cut. Just save myself some space here. And yeah, this is all straightforward. Now we're just going to cut these. I just keep them like this. I don't dice them up. No need to. Peppers fucking shrink like burgers and everything else when you cook them. So they're good like this. Again, stretch them out a little bit. This is my favorite knife too. I fucking love using this goddamn knife. Alright. Now, got the last three. These are the best ones right here. These are fucking long, healthy peppers right here. I fucking love peppers. I have a mini pepper plant and I have a jalapeno pepper plant. My jalapeno pepper plant has 2 peppers. One's ready for harvest that I'm just letting get bigger, and the other one has just sprouted. So I have a couple that are still coming out and doing the damn thing. Yeah, so there we go. You have your chopped up onions and peppers. Before I start cooking anything, I like to clean up the ingredients I'm done with. So we're gonna move this guy on top of the stove since it's not fucking on yet. Keep our knife. We don't have to cut any more vegetables, so that's good. So we can we'll give it a rinse, and we'll go ahead and use it for the bacon. We won't cook the bacon probably until we're done with our meatball mixture, and then we can go ahead and cook our bacon. We want to finish the onions and peppers first. That's fine. That's another friend bailing. It sometimes shit happens, Sometimes you try and plan some stuff and it does not go too well, and that's okay. You know what? We're still gonna make the food anyway, and we're gonna have a good time. So, got my trash all done. We're gonna do a quick picker-upper, because drop some seeds on the floor. Don't need my dog and cat ingesting those. Don't know what that would do to them, but I don't want to see. So. It's like the one thing you can drop on the floor while you're cooking, and you can't call your dog over and be like, hey, do your job. Alright. And then you're gonna tie your gym shorts up off screen, because you're sick of fucking picking them up while cooking. Alright. Give our hands a good wash here. Sing Toss a Coin to Your Witcher while you wash your hands, because that's the equal amount of time it would take you to sing Happy Birthday, and it's better. So just always sing toss a coin to your witcher, oh valley. Yeah, that one. That's the one. Alright. I sang it in my head. We're good. We're fine. Ah, shit. Here we go again. What's up, black guy? Mikey, thanks for coming into the stream. Cheers, bud. Mikey, as always, please share the stream if you can. Send it to somebody. Have Corinne sign on her phone. Don't be stingy. Alright, we got our onions and peppers. We got our pan. The cooking of the onions and peppers will not be seen on camera for now. Just because I got to change it all, and we still got to do our meatball mixture over here. So, if you don't fucking know, just side note educationals, fucking throw it on, throw your the thing on about 5 or 6, and throw some oil down, maybe some butter if you want, and just let them bitches cook. So, boop. I go a little bit halfway with it. Generous amount of oil in the pan, because they're going to cook for a hot minute, and we will throw some butter in, just because it helps it Helps it cook better and not just burn. It'll actually cook with the butter. My favorite thing to do with this right now is fucking not drop the butter when you put it back. I'm late. What you cooking? We're cooking stuffed meatballs. Garlic is everything, and I fucking love just getting minced garlic in the thing. So good. So I throw that. So basically, what's in my pan right now cooking is minced garlic, butter, and oil. And then we're gonna throw these onions and peppers in. The stuffed meatballs are gonna be ground pork, ground chuck, with some seasonings and shit like that. And they're gonna cook in a marinade, of which we have our sauces over here, this side, but you can't see. Oh, fucking whoop. And they'll be cooking in the slow cooker for, I don't know, like 3 hours or some shit like that. But that's okay, because that's not the point of the point of this isn't to see the meatballs out of the the slow cooker. It's just the whole process itself. So that's what we're doing. Cream cheese with onions and peppers stuffed into meatballs, and also pepper jack cheese stuffed into meatballs. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing it with at the end of it, it's going to be topped with a bacon marinara sauce. Bam! Think you want to take it from here, Emerald? Bam! So get that pot going. Alright, the pan's a little hot, so fucking start dumping in these motherfuckers. The cutting board hole I have on this cutting board is not big enough to do the thing you're supposed to do where you scoot all your vegetables, you cut onto that. It's not big enough. So, oh yeah. We'll give them a little flip if you know how to do the pan flip thing, you know what I'm talking about? That. So, do that. Let it go for a minute. You don't really need to season it up. There's going to be too much flavors and everything everywhere anyway. So, you can just rinse, you just did peppers and onions on your cutting board. So you can just rinse your knife with some hot water. Give it those smacks that you would do anything, because that's what helps. So now we've got the onions and peppers cooking. We need to mix up our meatballs. So we'll just put the cutting board to the side for now. Hey, party foul. So we got a big ass mixing bowl right here. This is gonna be the easy part, but we should still hit our pen first. Your pen battery might be running a little low, and it takes you a little bit longer to hit your pen. Or your pen battery might be dead. That's what it is. Be right back. And we're back. And Mikey, if you could do me a favor, if you're still here, can you hear the piano music in the background, even slightly? You can let me know if you can hear that or not. I'd appreciate it if you hear any piano music. Woo! That's the hit we were looking for. Holy shit. Alright, and that's what makes cooking fun. So, I don't really get to do it with pork too often. That's fucking fun for me. So we'll kind of put it to the side here so that way you can see what I'm doing otherwise. And that was the reason I needed to use some of this, like, when your meat starts to oxidize and lose that flavor, the redness, like the meat that goes with it. It's best to like not try to like make it last longer, but just cook it, get it out of the way. Cool. Is the volume perfect? Like, can you hear? Is it like a good mix of everything, or is one louder than the other, or what? Sometimes the piano dies out, so it gets quiet. Alright, and then see, so like the chuck to itself, it's it kind of looks purple from the shadowing and whatnot, but if I get it close you can see it is definitely starting to gray a little bit. And it was like pitch red when I got it, so best to just kind of start cooking this motherfucker and get it out of the way. And I like, if I'm gonna use like red meat, like the best like non-deoxidized red meat that I have, I want to use it for like burgers or nachos or something really, really good. But meatballs, you can just use the most trash meat you want, you know? As long as it's got pork and the breadcrumbs and all that good stuff, you can use whatever the fuck you want. You can use whatever the fuck you want for everything, but, you know, I have my preferences. So, you got meat on your hands, so let's take care of that. Toss a coin to your witcher, oh valley of plenty, oh valley of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your witcher, oh valley of plenty. Boom, done. See? Toss a coin to your witcher. Way better than singing happy birthday and we're done. It's real quiet, but I can hear it. That's exactly what I want to hear. Exactly what I want to hear. So, and the peppers, don't ignore them. Keep doing your little... I'll do it over here every time. So that way it can be seen. Just keep giving them like that. You don't really have to mix them up too much. Just keep letting them cook. Turn up your heat if you don't like how slow they're cooking. So, we have our pork and our chuck in the bowl. This is my favorite thing to do right here. Just a little bit. Just to get the moisture going. First thing we're going to do, hit it with some breadcrumbs. Preferably if you have Italian breadcrumbs, but if not, then it's totally fine because you're just going to season it anyway. But if you don't have, like, if you get Italian breadcrumbs, preferably don't season it too much. Just light on your seasoning, because then the Italian seasonings have a bunch already in there. Mikey, how you been, bud? I haven't heard from you. How you guys doing? How's Starbucks life going? I know you're still working hard at Starbucks. I know you're also late, so again, these are the... If you don't have this black guy, if you don't have this guys watching the... gotta make sure... Sensitive times to be calling you black guy. Mikey, and also if anybody on the stream, you don't... This is the best seasoning you will ever need for most anything you want to cook. Especially if you're doing anything Italian-wise. It's just so good. The garlic that comes inside of it, the herbs that are put inside of here. It's an all-in-one. Salt, pepper, garlic. It's good shit. So we'll put a good amount of that. This is also a really good seasoning to get if you can find a form of it. Some kind of Southwest Chipotle seasoning. It really adds a heavier, like, sweet, smoky flavor as Chipotle normally would do. So it kind of really goes well with anything. So we'll just add a good amount of that in there. Again, this is not seasoned at all, so we can just do whatever we want when it comes to seasoning. I'm going to throw personally some adobo. I was wondering what I would feel like when I got here, but we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of adobo in there. And this is... That's actually it. That was it. So, you can take your seasonings and you can just throw them away. Well, you can put them away. Don't throw them anywhere. Those are good seasonings. That's good shit right there. And then we gotta take, and if you watched the episode this morning, you'll know I'm about to crack. So we gotta crack an egg in there to keep the meatball moisture, the meatball stuff together. Starbucks is treating us good. We chilling and shit. Yeah, you guys are living that good. I mean, at Target, at the Starbucks there, everybody's having a good time. I started drinking Starbucks a little bit more, as you probably saw on my Instagram post. But like, I just get like caramel iced coffees. Caramel iced coffee. I'm like, I always tell them make it super sweet because I don't know what to tell them otherwise to make it really sweet. But I want an iced coffee with caramels, what I've also learned I have to say. And then they usually take the caramel syrup or whatever and they just do a fucking, once it's all in my cup, they do a big squirt of it on top. Somebody made it for me like that one day and it's the best shit ever. It's so sweet and it's delicious. And it's just a nice coffee with caramel in it, and I'm like, I fuck with you, Starbucks. But also I like their coffee. I hear a lot of people talk about like, I don't like the taste of the coffee itself. I'm like, that's really good. Like, it's probably because it's strong. In my opinion, Starbucks coffee is strong. And that's good shit. Alright, so again, we're not good at cracking eggs. We're just going to crack that bitch in there. And that's why this is a good thing to show everybody. You don't have to be good at cracking an egg. Like, it doesn't matter. I didn't get any eggshell. It's cracked. We're done. I always crack it on a napkin. So that way, no juice gets out or anything like that. You have your throwaway piece right here. You don't have to worry about no juices. Alright. So all the mixture's in there, the seasoning's in there. Aha. You can use your hand or you can use a spatula. I'm going to start with a spatula for the sake of not having to wash my hand over and over again. But usually what happens is I do this and then I get real fucking sick and tired of doing it and I switch over to my hand. So we'll see where we go. The chuck and everything is super loose, so we'll see how it goes. Make sure to take this part off of all your meats. Gross! I forgot the pork had that. Alright, we're good. So now you just start beating your meat. Yep, and just like I thought, got too lazy, just gonna switch back over to hands. Or switch over to hands. Way easier to do, especially if you're gonna make a fucking thing for meatballs. Because it really meshes the flavor better. And then also, good arm workout. And then it's gonna make it a mush more than a spatula would. I didn't do this, but make sure you spray butter on your fucking mixing bowl. Because, not that it's going to happen too much because you have so much, wet in here. But, you have a chance of getting it to stick up against the bowl, and then you got problems after that. And, it just makes it easier for yourself if you don't do that. So, it doesn't take too long to mix it up. We just do that. Oh yeah. And we got a mixture. I usually smell the meat. I almost always smell the meat. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I almost always smell the meat. Because I don't want it to smell just like red meat. I don't want it to smell like just whatever it is. I want it to smell like the seasonings that I've put in. And it smells pretty good. So same toss a coin to your witcher in your head, so that way you don't have to do it every single time you wash your hands. Hot water always, fam, always. Realize that you're using your napkin or your towel that you used for hash browns. Wipe up something that you can clean with it because you're about to throw it into the hamper. Don't forget about your onions and peppers. Yeah. Alright, lower the heat on that. Sometimes if you cook it too high, you can lose the oil and whatnot you have in there. Just throw some more on, that'll help. Alright. So, again, this is why. You don't want to let your fucking meat, freeze or sit in there too long. Because then you get a lot of brown in it. And it's not that it's bad, it's just that you lose a lot of flavor and it's no bueno. So we have our meatball mixture and we can just put it back in the fridge. Usually, yes, cover it up, but we're going to take it out real shortly soon. Since we have the chance and we have the time, we can cut up our bacon. This bacon's going to go into our bacon marinara. Super simple, we're just cooking the bacon. And then once it's done, we're keeping all the grease and whatnot in there. We're going to cook just half of a can of marinara. We have a little under. I needed to get rid of this can of marinara. I have a little under, half of a can of it. And it just made sense to be able to do this. So we'll take out about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 strips seems pretty good to me. We'll use that bacon for something later on. So we'll throw him back in the pocket. I was talking the other day. I feel like people forget about her a little bit. I feel like people haven't talked about her as much, and nobody's talking about anybody right now because there's so much shit going on. But my world's so involved still in pop culture and just things I'm interested in as it is. I just sprinkle in the news and facts as I go because I just get what it's important and then I just go back to my life if I can, if I'm allowed to. So you get a new towel now that is for cleaning your hands that you can. I'm always having this is how I cook, towel over the shoulder. Gonna gonna lower down our onions and peppers a lot there because they cooked real good and they're nice and black, but we still need them to soften up a little bit more. Oh, let's see. Hell yeah. So we'll get them on low. The whole time the crock pot's been on, so that way when we get to the point where we need to use it, won't be a big deal. Put the cheese back in the fridge since we're not quite there yet. Although I want it to soften up a little bit, you don't want to get it too much. Think about fucking doing that with cheese. Anyway, Rachel Ray. Man, she has been bae since day one and she will be bae forever. Rachel Ray, if you don't know the show Hot Ones, there's a show on the internet, it's called Hot Ones. Make sure you don't fucking take like any grease and stuff like and feel tempted to touch your goddamn towel like how I'm always tempted to do. She's been bae since goddamn day one. When I was a kid, growing up, cooking shows was Emerald, Bobby Flay, and eventually Mario Batali, if I'm not mistaken, the big redhead guy. It was just them, and then you had Iron Chef, and you had and then you had Paula Deen before she was racist, even though she was racist the whole time, and she got found out to be racist. You had Paula Deen, and you had and then you'd have random ladies on this cooking shows, you know? You had Gordon Ramsay doing his thing. And it was just, that was it. It was competition and fucking just random women doing cooking shows. And then you had the big hitters, Flay, Emerald, etc. And even they got too fucking big. They were like, I don't want to keep doing this shit. I want to run my restaurants and go do other stuff. And that's fine. But it really fucking killed the cooking game. And Rachel Ray, in my opinion, came out and she was so fucking fun and light. And she was so relatable. I think when she came out, she was much slimmer and whatnot, but she always was thick in the sense that she had weight to her. But it wasn't even acknowledged. It wasn't even talked about until the media talked about that, you know? And that became her thing, being this thick cook that doesn't care. And it's she was that's never been my point. I just been a cook. But yeah, sure. And I don't know, as a kid, I gravitated to her cooking show genuinely just for her cooking. It was, and then her show ideas, the 30-minute meals, whatever it was. She knew how to grab people's attention. She knew how to market. Bert Kreischer talks about this all the time. She knew how to market. She knew how to treat people too. You never heard it. Nothing bad has ever come out about Rachel Ray. And I swear to God, if it does, I will end my life. Because that's one fucking bad news I don't want to hear. That she's doing something bad too, and if you watch the Hot Ones episode with her, if you use this for cleaning, your hands, you can also use it for when you wipe your mouth when beer drops. Boop. And she had a court battle for her fucking slogan, and that slogan was just to help kids with meals and shit. And she's just an overall cool fucking person, and she's just a cook on a show. And she does so much more than that. And she goes on Hot Ones, and she's picky about her wings, and you immediately want to go, wow, that's bougie of her. She's gonna be picky about her wings. Really, Rachel Ray? It's a show. Just eat the wings. No. She goes, to make up for it, I want to mainline the hot sauce. I want to put it in spoons and just eat the hot sauce. What? What? Nobody, if you've seen Hot Ones before, if you haven't, then let me explain. It's just got the hottest hot sauces in there. There's 10 levels, and it's got some of the hottest hot sauces after level 3 that you, if you don't like hot food, would die. And she just put it into a spoon, full tablespoon, big tablespoon, that she brought herself, and mainlined each one like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. At the end of it, she, alright, so the onions and peppers are good now. You want to look for something like that. Caramelized onions, soft, your peppers have turned a little bit brown because they have the caramelized as well. Good shit here. I just shook the pan at the fucking camera. So, back to Rachel Ray. I've just been talking about, I think, I bring it up because, when I talk to people, I'm like, who's my favorite cook? I'm like, well, Rachel Ray. Because so many people look at YouTube cooks now. I love Mythical Chef Josh. He's bar none my second favorite chef of all time. And Babish is right there at number 3. Ramsay at number 4 for regular chefs. Maddie Matheson for number 5. Filet at number 6. It goes on. I'm just going on about that now. But Rachel Ray is number 1 because that Hot Ones episode showed me that. You learn so much about her in that episode and how cool she is and how she was. You hear Bert tell the story about just coming in and giving him a bowl of chili with an egg on top and a Guinness. Like, she's just so cool. Then, and I already knew this, but I didn't know until I bought it one day, is probably like 6 months ago or so, she has her own animal food line for cats and dogs. And with Crypto, let me say, for the longest, he just got, what was it, Beneful and like Pedigree and whatever the fuck we can afford a giant bag of. And I eventually got sick of doing that because he was eating it, but only because he had to. There were so many days where it took him forever to eat his food. And then I got gifted some Blue Buffalo for him one day. And dude, he lost his goddamn mind. He was like, that's the best food I've ever fucking had. And I was doing it for a while. I was able to get a discount on it, but the discount store I was going to that had it stopped getting Blue Buffalo. So they only had other brands, and Rachel Ray was one of them. So I first got the Rachel Ray food for my cat. My cat is she's a goddamn pig. She'll eat almost anything. She's super picky when it comes to wet food, but she's an addict for dry food. So any dry food at all, she doesn't really care. But I will say that it was healthier for her to eat. She was eating Blue Buffalo for a while too, but again, lost that privilege. So, I found the Rachel Ray there. I got it for her. Oh. I was so confused as to why my phone was doing that. It's just checking. My alarm went off, and so we need to fix this though. It didn't adjust the camera. What the? Do the camera adjust? Okay. There it goes. Oh shit. Sorry guys. Sorry. My phone was not prepared for that. It's sitting on its own edge, you have to understand. It's so, like, if anything happens to it, my phone vibrates and it just falls off. Let me go change the music and we'll get back to cooking in just a minute here. We'll wrap up the thing about Rachel Ray. We'll get back to cooking. And then I have a story I can tell. We're about to chop up this bacon here for our bacon marinara. So, be right back. Alright. Music is back. We're set. Take a sip of our beer. And basically what I'm trying to say is the food I got for my dog and my cat, that my dog, his diet and his bowels and everything has never been better than when he's been eating Rachel Ray. I get him the superfood version, and I do the same thing for my cat now. She's on the superfood too. Incredible. Like, they're healthy as fuck. They've been always, for like maybe like a year and a half ago they weren't as healthy, but they started getting on a different diet already. So the changing of the diet, although not ideal, it still continuously do it. It still was helping them to be on a better one. And now they're on the Rachel Ray food, and my cat gets the Rachel Ray little wet food starters. Her food is affordable too, is the thing. It's wild to me that these places, these companies like Blue Buffalo and shit like that, make their food so healthy, etc., for these animals, but then they charge you your whole wallet to buy the food to make your animal so healthy as it should be. I'm just checking the crock pot temp, just making sure it's staying. And that's fucked up to me. And Rachel Ray didn't do that. She was like, yeah, I'm doing the same thing they're doing. It's just my own personal recipe. And then here's what sold me on her. The woman eats her own fucking pet food that she, she doesn't sit down and have a meal of it, but she taste tests it. She's making sure it's actually delicious. She would eat her own pet food, and she has on camera before, many times, as much as her own pets would eat it. And that's what something was like, that. There you go. She's a good businesswoman. She's a good woman overall, and she's my goddamn hero. Chef-wise, goddamn hero. If I could meet any cook, any chef, fuck, I'd love to meet Josh. I'd love to meet but I would just hang out with Rachel Ray because I know she'd be so warm and inviting, and I'd be so nervous, and she would calm me down so instantly. And she's just so, because she's not intuitive because she has to be a host. She's intuitive and nice and calm because that's who she is. Rachel Ray. When I see your face. Alright, so we have the onions and peppers. We're going to cut up the bacon. The onions and peppers, all this is going to be done in one pan. You can just do it one pan. We're going to scrape out the onions and peppers once we're done cooking up the bacon, and then the onions and peppers will just go right into the mixing bowl with the cream cheese. I'm realizing right now, don't need this big of a mixing bowl for the cream cheese. So, if you're just using one stick of cream cheese, you can just use something like this. Alright, so, bacon started to stick a little bit. There we go. And simple shit right here. You're just taking the fucking strip as it is. You can even flip it over on itself if you want to get it done quicker. And fucking really press down so that way you don't have to fucking... You're gonna have to fight it a little bit. It'd be better if you took it from the close side. But make sure it's all cut. There you go. If you have big pieces, that's totally fucking fine. And there you go. We're done with the knife now. We don't need the knife for anything. Throw that in the thing. Kick on some water. Toss a coin to your witcher. Oh, valley of plenty. Oh, valley of plenty. Oh. Boom. Toss a coin to your witcher. Hands are washed. Tell you, man, they can put me on a cooking show. I can do this shit's... It's not hard. Just wish more of y'all were here. That'd be great. We were just chatting it up. The only thing I'm missing, y'all. Y'all. Missing the fans. I don't know what everybody's doing, but... So, we'll just take this cutting board, move back to our staging area. Got a nice little wooden spoon. And you just take all those onion and peppers, put it into your mixing bowl. It doesn't matter which one you do first, cream cheese or onions and peppers. The onions and peppers are going to heat up the cream cheese one way or the other. So ideally, I guess you could put the cream cheese first so the onions and peppers fall on and start heating it up immediately. But you want to already be cooling or warming up your cream cheese by just letting it sit at room temperature. So, put that on our little spoon rest. Cream cheese, like I said, been resting, so it's pretty ready to be mixed. If anything, you can microwave it if you need to. But ours is pretty ready to be mixed. Take our opening knife. I don't think that's a thing, but it is for me, because I hate using scissors and whatnot. I just use a knife. You probably don't even need the whole stick of cream cheese. You can judge it just depending on how much you're trying to make here. But I'm going to use the whole stick. Boom. And I'm going to push it down into the onions and peppers just to kind of like get the heat to go back up on the cream cheese. It didn't heat up as much as I wanted to, but I didn't give it a lot of time. Even though that actually kind of was a good amount of time, it was not enough to warm it up. So that's fine, because you can let that sit there for a minute. It's just cream cheese. We don't need to wash our hands that much. It's just cream cheese. It's just cream fraiche. I learned how to make cream fraiche watching Babish, and it's not that hard. Cream fraiche. You can make it at home yourself. Just like everything, it's just fucking mayonnaise. And Mythical Chef Josh put me onto that. So, we have our mixture bowl. Like I said, we're going to let that sit there more. We're going to let the cream cheese just kind of melt. It's not going to melt, it's just going to warm up and become much easier to mix. That's where your mixture spoon that you should have been using for this only earlier is done. But you've washed it, you're ready for it, and here we are. You can put your fucking breadcrumbs back. Yeah, you know what? We comment on even the cleanup process here. And that bacon that we had earlier, you can keep your knife around so that way you can scrape it easier. Jesus Christ, good catch. But otherwise, just kind of plop it into the pan. Make sure the pan's back on for heat. And there you go. Perfect. Just get rid of your opening knife now. and use it on some raw bacon, so now you can't use that either. And yeah, process of elimination. You don't have to oil a pan or anything, just throw the fucking bacon in there. It's bacon, it's gonna just cook. You can use the same spoon, or a wooden spoon, whatever the fuck you were using for it. And now you wait for the bacon to cook. Why don't we start making the marinades? How about that? Hold on. No, I can't. I actually can't stop. Can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. That person's probably gonna message me again. It shouldn't flip me over this time though. What we're gonna do, hopefully it doesn't fucking just start cooking it immediately. We're gonna put this on keep warm, or low actually. I don't think it should like just start searing it right away, but I don't know. So what I have here is zesty Italian. This is going to be the main base of the marinade because it has most of the flavors to stick with an Italian base that we want, but also is very movable and usable. Oh yeah. You can just use the whole thing. At that point, with this small one, you can just use the whole thing. Gone. Done. See? I'm throwing some El Yucateca in there. El Yucateca habanero. For heat, but also it's really flavorful. It mashes really well. You can tell it's going to mash well with flavor just by smelling it. If you smell it, if you taste it. Taste is obviously the better way to do it. If you just taste something. Steak sauce, I learned from one of my friends, Dylan, is actually a really good marinade to put in your meatballs if you're going to marinate them. Or if you're just going to eat meatballs straight, you can use steak sauce. And it's really good. So just kind of drizzle a little bit of steak sauce in there. Steak sauce is really strong, so you don't need too much. I probably put too much. And this right here is my own kind of deal. This is a strawberry oil and vinaigrette. I recommend this to everybody for anything. It's oil and vinegar, and the vinegar though is a strawberry vinaigrette. They mix it in here, you shake it up yourself to mix up the oil and vinegar, and it is delicious. I marinate my chicken with this. It makes so many things really juicy, and the strawberry you would think is gonna set off because it's sweet, but it really doesn't. It stays really savory. So I put this in almost anything I marinate. I forgot I didn't take the protective cap off of it. Ah, there you go, protective cap gone. Make sure it doesn't fall into your fucking thing. Go ahead and just go like that. There you go. And now the marinade's done. Make sure to not put your empty bottle of zesty Italian back in the fridge. We'll quiet this guy down in a second. Throw everything that you don't need back in your fridge, and I almost forgot a really important part. I'm just kidding, we're gonna skip this. Saison you can add for like color and flavor, because it's so red. But realistically, after all of that, this is gonna really set off the flavor balance, honestly. So, skip the saison. Take your spoon. I'm gonna go at this bacon over here for a minute, separate it up a little bit. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. The chunks are a little bit big for making it like a sauce, but I think that's fine. They're gonna shrink up anyway, so once you get them loose, you can, now you can bring it back over to the camera for effect. You can even do this, doesn't matter the oil in the pan. Woo! There you go. See? Like I said, you got some bigger pieces in there, but that's okay. One day we'll get these cameras down. I mean, for just using my phone, I think my angles are fucking great, but it could be better. So let's see if our mixture's ready. It is. So now, all you gotta do, you wanna get bougie with this? Let's get real bougie with this. Let's, shit. Alright, ixnay the extra bougie. I thought I had more cheese that I could grate on top of this. If you have shredded cheese or some kind, definitely use it. It's going to help the mixture not be so slippery to mix up. But otherwise, just give it some time. Keep folding it on top of it. And you'll see... Oh, whoops. You'll see... Kind of looks like that a little bit, you know, and it'll eventually start meshing it together. So I'll show you after a second here of me doing this what it will come out to look like once you're done. Don't get discouraged, because with how slippery it is, you're going to be really pissed off and be like, this isn't fucking working, like it's not mixing together well. You do need a better mixing agent, but with cream cheese, the more it softens, the more it just mixes with whatever its surface is. So after a minute, it'll continue to warm up because of the motion. Keep folding it in on each other, and then the onions and peppers and cream cheese will just become a congealed one. And that's what we're going for here. So just keep pressing it against the sides, keep pressing against the onions. It's why you need a lot of whatever you're going to mix it with, because you need to be able to press it up against something, push it on something in order to make it mix. So you just keep folding it on top of yourself, folding it on top of itself, until you can start kind of swirling it. It's a little bit looser now, it's a little bit freer. There you go. Because cream cheese will become a liquid at some point, which is not what you want, but it helps the premise-wise of mixing it a little bit more. So we just want to get those bigger. We're going to keep going until all the chunks are out. You don't want to see any chunks, so it's a little bit of a process. Bacon's still cooking good. You can kind of stop for a second, reach over, give it a little shake. A little shaky shake, so that way the bacon doesn't overcook. Lower it down a little bit so you don't have to worry about it so much, and then just come back over here. And we're back to folding and pressing, folding and pressing, folding and pressing, folding and pressing, stirring and folding and pressing. You know, I was trying to tell a story yesterday. We didn't get enough viewers. I want to tell it today. I mean, I just want to tell it. It doesn't matter. Fucking, you guys want to fucking show up, it's fine. I'll just tell the story to myself. I don't care. When I was, God, I must have been 17. Maybe, yeah, I think it was 17. When I was 17, I got spiked with cocaine on my marijuana, making me, therefore, smoking crack. That happened when I was 17 years old. The kicker of the story, to start hearing it, it's one of those like, but now let me take you back, was that it was my father who spiked me with cocaine. And then now we get into the story. So, but I'm going to show you real quick. So as you see there now, we don't have clumps anymore. The clumps you're seeing, the swirls are all the onions and peppers mixing in with, like, you see it's sliding? That's perfect. So you want to keep mixing it a little bit more because there's just a few clumps. And once the clumps are gone, just put it in the fridge for a little bit because you want it to get more of a hard as this mixture. So you want the cream cheese to kind of form back up, but as this instead of just cream cheese. If you don't wear an apron while you cook, I highly recommend customizing an apron and getting one. Boom, there we go. That's our filling for some of the meatballs right there. Tiny boy, watch song crazy story. I don't know what the fuck song, what the fuck you tried to type right there. We'll keep the spoon just in case we need it for mixture afterwards, but now you can throw this guy into the fridge. We're going to finish cooking up the bacon. We'll start up the story. And we are just about ready to start stuffing the meatballs. The marinade's still cooking up in the crock pot. Cooking it up in the crock pot. A lot of this bacon's getting there. It's really getting there. We'll have to dump out some of this grease because you don't want all of this for your bacon marinara. So, but we will be keeping some of it. So, give it a good push around. If your bacon's cooking too fast still, if it's like cooking unevenly, just lower it down. Keep it mixing up a little bit. Keep moving it around. Don't cook it as fast, and it should be fine. So, we'll lower that guy down a little bit. We'll mix up the marinade, make sure to get all the flavors to, as Babish would say, get to know each other. And you don't need a large amount of the marinade. If you're only going to marinate just the meatballs itself, yes, you need a lot in there. But if they're just using the marinade as a bed to cook in, just a bed, just a nice shallow pool. You didn't sniff it? Oh yeah. So like the Italian sauce is punched up a bunch by the El Yucateca that got put in, and the steak sauce blended in to just kind of give it like this thicker sauce. It's gonna be good, juicy. So my father my father spiked me with cocaine when I was 17. My father was the one who would give me marijuana. He would sell me bud. I don't know why I said marijuana, like I'm at the doctor right now. He would sell me bud. Well, he wouldn't sell it to me. He would just give it to me. I would do good in school or whatever it was, and he'd give it to me, whatever. As long as I was doing good, doing my chores, I didn't get paid allowance. I got paid in bud, and it was what it was. It was cool for me at the time. So a lot of shit had happened. We have to skip a lot of parts in the stories to get to this story. A lot of shit happened. We had been forcefully relocated to Orlando. So I had to pack up with my family and like a week's notice, and we all had to move to my abuela's house in Orlando. That shit sucked. So before we went, like many years, as I'm getting handed down bud from my father, he had let me know plenty of times it's hard as hell to get bud in Orlando, and I believed him. I didn't have any reason to question him. So, side note, while I'm doing all this, we're going to start cutting up the cheese to stuff, so that way I'm not doing that last minute. Bring up the cutting board, start cutting up cheese. You know what the fuck to do. So, he had always also let me know that it was way easier to get cocaine there than bud. So once we moved there, it was in fact hard to get bud. I would just sit around and wait until he got it, and then once he got it, I'd be like, where's it at? He'd give me some. It wasn't anywhere near what we were getting, when we were down in our area, and it sucked, bro. It sucked to go through that, but like I said, the man was not lying. I could tell he was doing cocaine. Like I could tell he had been doing it for some days already. And we had to go outside to smoke. Our abuela, my abuela was not. She knew what we did, but she didn't know, or she didn't want to like see it and shit like that. Cheese is cut up. We good. There we go. So I go out on my patio one night, and my father's out there, and he comes out. He starts smoking with me or whatever. Oh yeah, our bacon's nice and cooked now, nice and crispy. We'll let that settle for a minute, let the oil settle before we have to dump it out, because we're going to have to strain some of that. So, he comes up to the patio, he comes out to the patio, and he starts smoking with me, because I had some still. He had just got back getting some more, so that's why he wanted to smoke with me. So, around the second bowl, because he told me because I was like, well, I know you, I'm fucking 16, 17 years old. I'm like, well, let me smoke you out. Because like I'm trying to be a good son or whatever. And even though it's the bud he's giving me. So he's like, yeah, that's fine. So after the second bowl though, he's like, let me pack one. And I was like, all right, but I got to go take a shower. So I went and took a shower, come back, and he just hands me the bowl. He's like, all right, I packed it up. And I didn't hit it right away. I was like, all right, cool, I'll hit it in a second. And I put it down next to my laptop because we were going to watch Netflix. So I pull up Netflix on my laptop. I put on that 70s show. I go to hit it. And before I do all that, while I'm setting it up, my father's head hits the table real fast while I'm setting everything up. And he goes, I freak out because I'm like, oh God, he just died. But before I can say anything, he goes, and then his head goes like that. And you hear the, and I was like, oh, okay, because I heard the nose. I was like, oh, okay, all right. He's got some Cokey Coke on him, and he's doing some Cokey Coke right now. Interesting. So I just let it go, and I was like, that's wild. Sometimes to drain the oil, I use whatever I can find, but I prefer to use like 1 or 2 plastic cups on a more this would just melt probably both of them. But once this oil is a little bit more calm, I'll strain the oil into these cups and then throw it into my trash. So that way I'm not dumping oil down my garbage disposal. In case you don't do that, in case you don't know to do that or anything. So anyway, he comes out. We do, you know, he's doing I see his head do the cocaine. I can tell he's doing the cocaine. I hit the bowl, and then I just pass it to him. Passes it back. I hit it again. I pass it to him. This man starts looking at me after he hands it back to me, and he goes, you've never done cocaine? And I go, well, I have. He knew I had. I was like, you know, I did it with 2 people that he knew of. And I was like, you know, I did a spoonful, and I didn't like it. And I didn't. I really didn't like it, you know. They were telling me you got to do more, and I was like, nah, that shit sucks. I was like, that's dumb. I don't know why people like doing that. It's so uncomfortable. Like, I'm definitely a white person at the party, and that's fine. I was like, but no, I don't want to do that, like, at all. Now that things are getting a little bit more come back in, you can just put your crock pot back on high, or start your oven up if you're just going to do the oven. And so, you know, I let him know that. I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't want to keep doing it. I don't want to do it again, etc. But I did it that time. And he was like, right. And then, you know, and then I hit the bowl. And he looks back at me and he goes, so you've never smoked cocaine? And I looked at him, I said, no, because that would be crack. And he laughed. And he was like, so you would never smoke it then? And I was like, no, because I'm not stupid. And he was like, right. He's like, but, you know, if you put it on weed. And I was like, yeah, that's called green crack, where you just smoke crack on top of weed. And he looked at me and he was like, well, that's what you just did. So, as if to say, like, I wouldn't be judging it because that's what you just, like you spiked me with it. I didn't do it, you spiked me. So yeah, you know, that's basically what happened. He let me know. He's like, well, that was, there you go, and that's how you get rid of most of the oil in your pan. And he lets me know. He's like, well, I put cocaine on that bowl that you just smoked, so technically you have. And I was like, are you fucking serious? And that, me saying, God damn it. Like I said, make sure your trash is already empty. Mine is not. And I go, are you fucking serious? And I ask him, you're fucking serious? Because I'm like, you're my father, aren't you? You shouldn't be doing that to me. This should be something I should be telling you somebody else did to me. And he laughed about it. He thought it was so fucking funny. And I just went to bed. You know, I just was like, I told him, I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to try and go to bed because I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is supposed to do. I don't want to experience this. I didn't plan for this. Thank you for doing this, dickhead. But yeah, I'm gonna go to bed now. And he literally was like, okay. And hold on. So yeah, I tell him, like, well, I'm just gonna go to bed. And all he had to say was, yeah, he was like, okay. Like, that's all he had. That's all he had for me. Okay. Like, he did nothing wrong. Like, he didn't just spike his goddamn child, his 17-year-old child, with cocaine on his marijuana bowl. Like, it was wild to me. So I went and laid down, and I was like, I just want to make sure nothing happens. I don't feel anything. I don't feel any of this. Because I don't know I don't know how you're supposed to feel when you do something like this. And I eventually fall asleep after like an hour, and nothing really happened, so that was good. And I wake up at around like 2 in the morning, and my father's still up. I can see lights, silhouettes under the door, which means that the living room lights are on. And okay, just making sure we good. And so I go out there. I was like, I need some water, and my father is out in the living room. My abuela's house, I haven't been there, since then. So it's like 7 more years I haven't been there, maybe. Somewhere around there. But it has, since I was a child going there, it has always looked the goddamn same. Like the dining room changed a little bit from time to time, but that was it. Everything else always looked the same at my abuela's house, especially the living room. The same entertainment center, you know, different TV after time, but same entertainment center, same fucking, you know, decorations, same couches, same, and the same placement for everything. No point did they redecorate, move things around. None of that shit. It's for fucking probably 20 plus years. It's probably different now, but 20 plus years. It was just the same fucking house. And my father, at 2 in the morning, had the entire living room fucking just rearranged. Not done rearranged, just shit was everywhere. Shit was moved everywhere. 2 in the morning. So I walk by, I'm literally like, shit, I just want to get a fucking cup of water. And I just walked by because I knew he was going to fucking say something to me. So I get the cup of water, I start walking back. Hold on, other way, because I did that way. Start walking back, and he's like, hey. I go, yeah? He's like, help me move this real quick. Okay. So he starts having me move a very big speaker. Old-ass speaker. And we're moving that. And then he goes, all right, move it back over here. Okay. He has me move it a third time. He says, move it over here. Okay. So since you're here, helping, help me move this over here. It's a couch. He wants me to move the couch. So I'm moving the couch. I'm saying what he's saying and then what really was going on. It's just a lot of move this. So we start moving the couch, and we move it left and fucking right. And then we go to pick up the coffee table. We're fucking moving it left and fucking right. And after we moved the coffee table, he wanted to move the love seat. And I leaned up against the love seat at now 3 in the morning. I had been with him for an hour. And I look around, nothing has changed from when I walked out into the room an hour ago. We have just moved things back and forth and fucking kept putting them back in the same spot. And if you're thinking, why didn't you realize that? I've never dealt with a cokehead before. It was 2 in the fucking morning and I was dead ass tired and I just wanted water. If I had been more awake or something like that, I would have been like, bro, we're just moving shit to the same spot. But it took me an hour with him moving shit back and forth to realize that we had done nothing but move shit around and then put it back to where he had just moved it to in the first fucking place. And if you're wondering why he was doing that, it's a cokehead thing. Like, cokeheads do that. They just get active, they just start doing stuff, and that happens a lot. They end up, like, just moving stuff, and it goes right back to where it was. It's wild, because they start coming down, and they start realizing, like, oh, it should just go to wherever the fuck it was. And so I noticed that. So, hold on. Side note, by the way, you want to cook your marinara at, like, a decent heat, because you don't want it to be, like, a river. You just want it to be this thin, and which is why it's good to just use a little bit, or if you have, like, a half a jar of marinara, just use that, because it'll cook with the bacon. It'll essentially cook onto the bacon. So, anyway. Anywho-dealer. So he tells me, he's like, let's move this love seat. And I lean up against the love seat and I go, Dad, it's 3 in the morning. I'm so tired. Can I please go to bed? And he's like, oh yeah, sorry son, it's fine. You're good. Go ahead. I'm sorry. And I was like, I'm sorry. Trying to be a good son. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry I have to go to bed, but I'm like, and I want to help you, but I'm really tired. He was like, it's fine. Go ahead. So I go to bed. I wake up. It's about 11 in the morning. Maybe a little bit earlier. My father is passed out in his room. My stepmother at the time is up. Normal. Sometimes they're up at the same time. You could tell he was not going to be up at that time due to the events prior. And I walk out to the living room and I'm so fucking ready to hear him. I'm surprised I didn't wake up to my abuela freaking out. Like I said, it's been the same fucking way forever. And I'm ready to wake up to hear my abuela fucking freaking out over this shit. And I don't, and I walk out to the living room. Every single thing that he moved around that had been the same way for 20 years was put back exactly where he found it, exactly before he moved it the first time when I was dealing with him, exactly to how it had been. for 20 years. This fucking cokehead stayed up until 6 in the goddamn morning, probably. I don't have a time, I just guesstimate 6. 6 in the goddamn morning, moving furniture around left and right in one room until he just moved it all back to where it was from the beginning. Paintings, pictures, antique little things in the entertainment center, all of it. Moved back to where it was. And I never talked to him about that night ever again. And I tell people about it all the fucking time. About how ridiculous that fucking night was. And how stupid that shit was. And don't do cocaine. Cocaine's dumb. And that's my story of how I was spiked with cocaine. Alright. So now that this marinara's, you'll smell, it's kind of doing this thing where now you're cooking the bacon again too. Because the marinara's so hot. So just, don't lose your towel. And kick this bitch to a low. So we got the marinara on low. We're good. Now, the marinara can just sit there. We don't need it until the very, very end. Now we're going to start stuffing meatballs. Alright. Take out your fucking meatballs, your mixture. Take your pan that you had sprayed with butter or something like that. There you go. And now realistically you can just start going at it. So we'll start with the cheese ones first. You want to make them decent sized enough meatballs. I mean, you know, you can use like this much, that's fine. Roll it out. Get your towel back up to the fucking top so you don't lose that bitch. Roll it out. Get a decent meatball. You don't want it to be too big because you don't want to just fucking make really, really giant meatballs for absolutely no reason. Roll it out, and then once you roll it out, I guess you don't have to make it perfect right away. Just get it to roll out, and then push down. Justify how big you need your meatballs compared to what you're putting inside of it. So if you're just putting a little square of pepper jack cheese like that, this is good enough. Close it in on itself. Roll. Roll some more. Try and get it as closed as possible. Make sure there's no pepper jack sticking out. Boom. Throw it on your pan so that way it doesn't stick. And now we just repeat the fucking process. And we'll just hang out and do this for a minute. And then after this, we'll end the stream because after that it just comes down to the meatballs have to cook in the sauce for about 2 to 3 hours. You only have to really do 3 hours if you're not going to cook them in a pan or anything like that afterwards. I'm gonna cook them in a pan afterwards because, in my opinion, it'll help the cream cheese and the regular pepper jack cheese slices be a little bit more melty and cheesy, if you will, when you cook them or when you eat them. So I feel like sometimes I've done this before, and you just do the crock pot or the oven, and then the stuff inside isn't as done as the actual meatball. So it's, you know, without having to explain it, you don't want that kind of experience. It's not as fun as a meatball experience. Meatballs are a fun party food, man, and I would highly suggest it as a meal for, I mean, if you're not worried about fucking fat and calories and shit like that. Meatballs and mashed potatoes with A1 sauce. I learned that from a friend, and that's actually pretty good too. I was like, meatballs and fucking A1 sauce, like what? With mashed potatoes on the side? Really good, actually. You can just use frozen meatballs for that. Also, what I would suggest is, I was gonna say, all right, let's be honest. True talk. I was gonna say, I would just say use frozen meatballs for the stuffing too. It's way easier. But it wouldn't be because they're already frozen in full meatballs, so that wouldn't work out very well at all. And if you don't know how to make a meatball, that means you never played with fucking Play-Doh. I'm sure there's a way to not get... I'm sure if I made our meatball actually bigger is what it is, to not get it to like break apart when you fucking, you know, push down into it. Probably just need more meat, and that's probably why. Also, don't worry about like if you're gonna go pick up more cheese and you have meat hands. I mean, it's going into the meat, so you'll be fine. So we'll use a bigger one this time. Let's see if that works out. We'll use a little bit more meat. Also, I think you just need to get your fucking meatball really formed. It's a good workout, making the meatballs. Making meatballs and cooking in general can be a really good workout. You just can't be eating the food as you go. Which is why I drink while I cook. Although that makes me want to eat sometimes. Normally I'm just loading up on the carbs from the beer, so we're good. Doing the cream cheese mixture is going to be different. I've never done that before, but I feel like it's going to be real easy. We're going to find out together. We have a few more of the pepper jack cheese that we can do. Already we're surpassing our limit. I thought I would have way less pepper jack cheese cuts than this, but don't judge a block of cheese by its size. Also, make sure I'm looking at my marinara right now. Don't overcook your marinara. Get it high and sizzling like first, and then immediately reduce it and just call it quits on it. Otherwise, mine's kind of doing a more of a conformed geel than a loose sauce. You still want the sauce loose because you want it to be able to drip over everything with the bacon, and you don't want it to be so thick. So mine's gonna be a little bit thick, it looks like. I'll just kill the heat on it entirely. We'll mix it up in a second and see. But yeah, just a good tip if you're going to do this and you're going to make a bacon sauce like how I did, just don't cook it too high after you add the marinara and bacon. The oil that's left over from the bacon really starts to cook the marinara is the problem. And the thing about making these meatballs big or whatever is like you don't have to worry about it. They're meatballs to eat by themselves, so it's not like it's with some fucking pasta. Even if so, people love big meatballs when it comes to their pasta. You can give them 2 and they'll cut it in half and fucking really start going at it. Man, this is a lot of cheese. Well, we're getting like a pattern down here. Is the thing. Alright, and then I think what we'll do instead is we'll just fucking, instead of making the hole, here's what we'll do. Instead of making the hole, you just push down into the meatball with the cheese, form back over, add a little bit more meat if you need to. There we go. Back to forming the meatball again. Practice with Play-Doh if you need to, but it's all just rubbing the hands together with the meatball in between. See if we can make this one really perfect. Yeah, kinda. Alright, so we'll do 2 more with the cheese, and the rest can be cream cheese. That'll be good. This is all coming out good. The prep work is coming out good. The final product cooked, I'm interested to see how it works. Not that I don't think it's going to work out well. I just, normally when things are going so well, I'm waiting for something to fucking... Whoop. Alright. 1 more with the pepper jack, and then we'll start trying with the cream cheese spread. A little bit more meat in that. There we go. A little bit more. Go. Hell yeah. Alright. So that's all done with the pepper jack. I have a lot more of my cream cheese spread. The thing about the cream cheese, if you make too much, that's totally fucking fine. You can really use this for cream cheeses, whatever. If you throw something into it, it's fucking still really, really good. So, we want to make these a decent size, just because I don't know how much cream cheese will fit in there and how it's going to. So I want to give it a decent bed to sit into, if I can. We'll see if I even need to do something like this, and we'll just kind of scoop it in with our hands there. And that we might have to change up that method here in a minute. But let's see here if this still works out. You might need to, I'll tell you in a second here, but you might need to freeze the cream cheese mixture, and then what you can do is you can cut it, like you can shift it out of your container, whatever you have it in, and then you can cut it into cubes, and then stuff the meatballs like that. And I think that might be what we have to do here. Yeah, that's gonna make it way easier. So we'll freeze what we have. Because right now what it is that it's too... Well, actually, here. Let's try this. Let's see if we make one bigger. That one... Actually, that one's a pretty big meatball as it is. Yeah, so we'll freeze this guy. So you learn something every time you do, do new stuff. We'll freeze this guy. I wish I had some kind of fucking paper that would make it be not so, once it sticks, I don't have to worry about it. I think if we just freeze them in here like that, like in a congealed ball. Yeah. Yes. This is good. This is good. This is good. Alright. Might be RIP to a mixing bowl, but this mixing bowl set was $5. It's a good mixing bowl set, though. So we have our little congealed ball right here of cream cheese. Weird noises. Anyway, we're gonna stick them in the freezer. I think I'm gonna throw aluminum foil over it. I think. And then I think that's gonna be the best thing to do. But it's not a disappointment because we still have plenty of meatballs stuffed with pepper jack. And we do still have plenty of meatballs left. So, throw your cream cheese mixture into the freezer. You may not have to even freeze it that long, honestly. And after it's frozen, hopefully it just slides out. I'm sure there's a better technique than what I was doing, but hopefully it just kind of falls out. And as long as it does, then you can just kind of take the wad that you made, and that's fine. Actually, no, it needs a little bit more coverage. You can take the wad that you've made of the frozen cream cheese mixture and just cut it right there. Like, cut it. I mean, it's going to be cold and hard to cut, but you can cut it, and then you can put those cubes into the meatballs much easier without it spreading everywhere. And then it's cream cheese, like I said, it's always going to melt at cooking levels and at room temperature levels. So as long as you cook it afterwards, which you need to because you have raw meatballs, it'll come out great. So we'll just take the meatballs that we do have, and we will start, we'll place them one by one. I was going to just dump them in there, but we'll place them one by one. Yeah, it's a good idea because the more you look at the cream cheese one that I have made, it's like you realize, like, oh yeah, like that, if you do that, that's not going to go out well for all of them because they're it's too creamy. It's a creamy mess mixed with a meat creamy mess. When you mix those two together, it just doesn't come out well. They don't form as one very well. All right. Well, I'm gonna get this onion that's been under my foot this whole entire time while we've been cooking, that it keeps escaping under my foot and then moving, and then I step on it again, and now we've got it. Alright. Normally people have a lid for their crock pot. I lost mine. I don't know where I fucking put it, so I use aluminum foil. That still works out great. Careful when you're doing it because it's hot. Yeah, just make sure to get it nice and uniform around. Just cover up the crock pot really, obviously. And that's it, guys. I'm sorry we couldn't do the cream cheese one as much as we wanted to. It doesn't really matter that much. I mean, you were just going to see me off screen shoving cream cheese mixture into meatballs. With that being said, this was fucking fun, man. I mean, I wish more of you guys would show up. We have a good angle right here. We have good setting. The music's able to be heard. It seems like it works out pretty well. You know, I just hope that next one we do, more of you guys show up. Oh, actually, you know what it is? You want to keep your... I lied again. You want to keep your sauce nice and hot. Because if you get it hot, it'll fucking melt away from all this shit and become that little... Just add some water if you need to. Or beer if you don't want to lose flavor. It'll loosen up the sauce. So, one way or the other. I'll take a picture of the final product once these are done. These guys got to slow cook for about 2 hours. And then I got to pan fry them. And yeah, I'll send the product out after that on Instagram and on Facebook. Follow me, Gorilla Joe Brown, on all social media everywhere. Is there still an onion under my foot? There isn't. Okay. God damn it. Yeah, there is. On all social media, Gorilla Joe Brown. Don't worry, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm not touching any more food. We're good. Gorilla Joe Brown everywhere. You can watch the VODs at the Twitch channel. I shared the egg sandwich this morning. I shared it to my Facebook channel, so you can go there and watch that egg sandwich video. When you watch the cooking channel, my cooking channel, it is bare bone basics. It's whatever I have. You know, I'm trying to upgrade all my cookware and everything I have because I love cooking so much. I'm trying to upgrade that as much as possible to make everything easier and nicer for me as I do it. But until then, it's just bare bones of what I've had, the pans and pots I've collected over time that I still have, the equipment I still have, and all of it's, some of it's old, some of it's new, and it's just about how my whole point is that you don't have to use an excuse. If you have one pan, if you have one pot, a spoon and a knife, and just get ingredients, look at something that inspires you to cook, and then cook it, and don't worry about making it look like the fucking video or the fucking picture. If I had to count the amount of times I tried to cook something off Tasty and it didn't look the exact goddamn same, I would have fucking quit cooking a long time ago. But it's all about have fun with it. Be like, I'm an emotional person, so I get, it's easier for me, I guess, to feel it. But if you like cooking and you feel something when you do it, but you're not sure because you want to do something properly, it's where I can actually talk more compared to, like, because this is how I am with art. When I want to do art, I'm so like, oh, well, I don't know, and like, cooking is just about fun. If you do art with the right person, you'll fall in love with art, just like you would do if you did anything with the right person. You might fall in love or love that idea or activity. But cooking, don't make it so much as like, I don't know and I don't want to know. It's like one of the most important skills to have, and it really is pleasing. It's this pleasant feeling of, if you don't believe it and you don't cook a fucking egg sandwich for yourself or whatever. Just cook an egg sandwich, watch my video, cook an egg sandwich, and just realize the things you can do is fun. It's like going to a restaurant and trying something new, but you did it yourself. The stuffed meatballs is off of, I got that from Tasty. The bacon marinara, I got that from Babish. And then you just try to, it's not like his looks like how mine does. His looks fucking light years fancier than mine, but it doesn't matter because I know mine is still going to be a bacon marinara. And it's all trial and error. You're like, next time I'll do this. That's what I'm saying. Mine's congealed right now. It kind of looks like a mess. Hey, no worries. You figure it out as the more you learn to cook. And that's the fun thing about, like, same thing with art, cooking, is you learn how to fix it. Like, hey, just add some more fucking beer to the marinara, add some water, whatever it is. It'll loosen it up. Cook it a second. It'll loosen up the whole goddamn thing. You'll be able to make more of a sauce out of it. And that's the whole point of this when I'm cooking on stream. Is I do it because I want to communicate, I do it because it's fun, but I also want to show anybody who, if anybody comes on my stream to watch me cook, that it doesn't, I don't know, that you don't have to be a certain anything. Just cook. If you want to. If you want to and you feel hesitant for some reason, that's why I'm here. But you can, to be fair, I guess a lot of my attitudes, a lot of something that I've been cooking forever, since I was a kid. So it's like, things like knowing temps and whatnot for whatever you're cooking is, for some people who have never cooked ever and they're 20 something now and they've never cooked, it's hard for them. They're like, oh, do I put it on 4 or 5? Which one is it? So I get that. There we go. Closing statements. Nobody's here anyway. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good night.